You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast.
You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. My name is Sean Wilkie, and along with my awesome co-host, we interview the innovators in this space every week. Ivan, why don't you introduce today's guest?
Hi, I'm Ivan Zach, and I'm happy to introduce Danielle Lambert today. We're going to talk about social media in veterinary domain and how the veterinarians use it for their business. Our guest is the founder of the Snout School, co-founder of 7S Society, vice president of business development at Whisker Cloud, was previously a practice manager. On the personal side of things, she attended Lollapalooza last year, where she finally saw the strokes. Has a Brussels Griffon named Archer Awesome. Does not like the traffic in California. I wonder why not. So the question that I have, we have some sort of preemptive questions that we had there, but I deal a lot with marketing, and I had to dive into it myself while I was running SmartFlow. It became my passion. Social media was one of them. I remember how I was talking to a business partner of mine, Pavel, and then I said, I have no idea what the social media is supposed to do. I never had a Twitter account. And then why should I be doing that? Because obviously he was a developer and he should be doing that. And he said, well, how do you think people learn things? I said, well, they read the book. And he said, well, go and read the book. So I started learning about social media, and it was a terrible experience because I ended up doing things like, I thought it was like posting a lot of stuff. And I ended up signing up for some, nerdy quotes that I redirected using some tools into my Twitter account. And I lost all my friends because I was just automatically deploying like words of wisdom 6 times a day from some other philosophers. So it was just terrible. And I think I lost a bunch of people along the way. And then I scammed them with our software. So I have a couple questions that you can answer in any sequence. One of them is, what do veterinarians think the social media is? A lot of them I heard know about the likes. So how do those convert into business for the veterinarians? And what are the biggest mistakes that veterinarians do with social media application to their business?
Well, thanks so much for having me, guys. I absolutely am super excited to be here. Ivan, I think we connected on Twitter like 5 billion years ago. I remember when you were running the SmartFlow account. So it's fun to kind of change platforms.
Danielle, I would like to apologize on Ivan's behalf for all the spam that he probably gave you. All those quotes of wisdom.
I know.
Sorry.
I need to go check and see if I unfollowed that account just to see. Back in the Twitter history, we can check and see if I stood with him through that difficult time. I commend you on trying something because it's so hard to figure out the content, right? Asking, what do, veterinarians think social media is, it's kind of at a point where I think it's finally changing and people recognize the value in it. Because when I started Snout School in 2013, I think a lot of veterinarians just thought social media was a waste of time, right? They thought that was where teenagers hung out, and why the heck would they put anything for their business on there? Flash forward to today in 2020, and I definitely think younger veterinarians see the value in it in terms of, connecting with pet owners and things like that. But I love your question of how do you kind of turn the likes into business, because I think that really ties into some of the biggest mistakes that I do see vet clinics really making still. So I think a lot of veterinary hospitals are at the point that they see the point in, posting to social media. But the big mistake I really see is actually converting that into something. They're just doing social media. They don't have a goal. They don't have a plan. Don't have, an ad budget. They don't have any sort of call to action to their website. And, they don't have even a method of tracking success, right? They're just posting to post. And I don't say this to hate on them. It's not fair in so many situations. Practice owners, they just find somebody who seems to like the internet the most, and they're like, hey, you want to market my $2 million business with absolutely no guidance? So I think a lot of people are put in positions to market their practice, but they aren't really kind of taught about strategy to convert into the likes. And then people just think that social media doesn't work and it's a waste of time. So that's kind of an overview of like some big mistakes that I really see.
Everybody here. So let's imagine I'm an old vet, which I am. And
you are, yeah. I completely agree with that.
Old and retired, yeah.
Old and retired veterinarian. Well, if I'm retired, I don't care about this. I go back to the Instagram and Snapchat or whatever they do. But I'm hearing about the social media that you have to be on. We go to your lecture at, VMX, we listen to it, and I'm like, that's it. We're doing this social media thing. And then as a Facebook user, I know that I need to collect likes. What is the journey? What is the kind of basic strategy there? And is it really in getting likes, or there's a bigger strategy behind it and there should be a multiple platform strategy, conversion? It somehow brings people back to your website. And how do you measure things along the way?
I'm always about really engagement. And so engagement doesn't necessarily just mean getting followers. I would rather have, 200 followers that are really engaging with my posts than 2,000 followers that aren't talking to me, right? So I think like step one is to really learn how to engage with your community, post stuff that they want to see, post things that they're going to care about, and ask questions so that they're commenting and really getting involved with you. That's the biggest thing, when I am consulting, and I don't really consult directly with clinics anymore. I consult more with, brands. But if I'm consulting, I am always trying to figure out how are we going to develop a community around this brand? How are we going to get people kind of engaging? So that's kind of step one. And then step two is, what are we going to ask them to do and how are we going to convert business, right? So if we are talking about, maybe Pet Dental Health Month, right? And we are sharing content about all the patients that have come in for dental cleanings. Great, cool little stories behind the scenes, before and afters, all that jazz that I think a lot of clinics know to do. But then actually linking to your website where maybe there's some sort of a special offer for the month where they're going to get a special gift when they come in for a dental cleaning, right? And having a website that can have really nice pages like that, customized to specific goals, and we can track, behavior from social media to that website to then booking in your practice. That's kind of the general flow that I like to really create. So it's really about knowing how to get attention and engagement and build community initially by really creating stuff that is for that community versus, my gosh, please, do not post more splenectomy videos and stuff. No pet owners trying to see that, but posting stuff that they actually care about and then having a plan for converting it into business into your practice.
Awesome. So maybe let me ask you this question. Do you feel that social media is more of a tool of re-engaging with existing customers or the new customer lead generation?
Okay, so this is a hard one, right? So I think it can be both. However, new clients, it's going to take longer and it's going to be more expensive. If we're trying to build out new clients, you're going to have to work a little harder to convert that into business. We know, statistically, when you look at any sort of research, it always costs more to bring in a new client than it does to re-engage with an existing one. And I think in vet med, we always go after the new clients. It's like new shiny object. If I ever do a marketing talk that is about how to get new clients, that's it's a joke within anybody that speaks on these topics in this space. We're like, oh, that's how you fill a room. Just say new clients, right? But I think that the real value in social is the potential for the ongoing relationship to really, educate a pet owner, increase compliance on all sorts of aspects of a pet's health, and more so, from a practice management standpoint, increase the average transactions, that they're doing with you versus just bringing in the new client numbers. So I think it can be for both. Bringing in new clients is going to involve more of a real specific strategy and, like I said, some ad spend.
So cool. So I've got a couple of questions. First one is the inspiration for the Snout School. Where did that come from? And can you tell our listeners a little bit about it? I've looked at the page, I've read the content. It's really interesting. I think we should talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. So when I started my consulting business, I was in my early 20s. It was a long time ago now. I didn't want to have a brand that was like Danielle Lambert Consulting, right? And like, insert picture of me in like a suit and like a power pose. Like, it's just not me. And every consultant I saw at the time was doing that online, but I just couldn't stand it. So I also wanted to have something that I knew I could kind of, pivot with and change over time. And my mom just thinks the word snout is funny. That's really all it comes down to. The word snout, like you say it to my mom and she loses her mind. I don't know what's wrong with her, but I share a lot of DNA, so maybe I should be concerned. But yeah, that's really where it came from, was just wanting to have something that was fun, approachable, something that I could kind of change if I wanted to over time, something that wasn't just about me. And I think that, making that choice back in 2012, 2013 has really started to pay off now, because we're really shifting from just focusing on how to market your vet clinic to how to build a business or brand in veterinary medicine. And I'm especially passionate about helping women in veterinary medicine build out their businesses or brands. I've had the privilege of consulting for lots of organizations, and just over and over again, I found myself really helping level men up. And in this industry that's so dominated by women, I was like, shoot, we got to figure out a way to get more women into, entrepreneurial roles and leadership roles and, personal branding and all the different kind of career opportunities that exist within this space. So we're kind of at that pivoty spot right now with Snout School, just changing from being just about marketing to kind of being a resource to help you level up in any aspect of your vet med career, depending on where you feel like going.
That's great. That's really cool. And then the next question, I want to get a little bit tactical. We've got a lot of listeners. Social media is a really interesting topic. What I want to ask next is, what are the top opportunities that people are missing? So, if someone was listening to our show today and they've got some social accounts, and I've got a sense of what this might be, but what are the opportunities that most people miss? And is there a particular platform that people are ignoring or just, kind of pushing off to the side? Yeah, maybe some proof points, or even like a prescription of, what the biggest opportunity that people are missing in their practice, that people could kind of listen to the show and go off and do this and actually start to see some positive results.
Not to be a total broken record, I am going to say it one more time, because I just will say it till I'm blue in the face, but setting a goal that can be tracked through some sort of conversion is a total missed opportunity, right? Like actually doing this for a purpose. The other real mistake that I've seen veterinary medicine make over and over again with just about anything is we tend to be a little late to jump on to any sort of change. And I think there's a real opportunity to be on platforms like Instagram or TikTok that people think have like this super young audience. And TikTok, yes, but like the average Instagram user, it's like women over 40 are the people that are joining Instagram right now. Yet I have to have conversations all the time, or I see conversations all the time of like, why should we be on Instagram? And it's like people on Instagram are there, they're more likely to buy things and convert business. So it's a great audience. I would love to really see more people on Instagram. So I think that Instagram as a whole is a huge opportunity to kind of fall down that rabbit hole one more step. I think a big missed opportunity is leaning into allowing individuals at your practice to build out personal brands to traffic back to your practice, right? We can really see these people that are coming up now. I think of my friend Christy Crow. She's a fourth-year student at Purdue, and she has, I think maybe 14,000 followers on Instagram. And that's a huge opportunity for the practice that she joins to leverage, right? But a lot of hospitals are like, oh no, why would I let them do that? They're going to compete with me. And they get into that scarcity mindset. I really think there's a cool opportunity to have a whole network of your team on social media, really acting as brand ambassadors throughout the community, because we know everybody always has like their favorite staff member in real life. So it's great to have the centralized brand, but I think there's a huge opportunity for people to kind of connect with the individuals on that more micro level as little brand ambassadors. So using Instagram, but using Instagram in that capacity is probably the biggest opportunity I see that people are missing. And then, yeah, through TikTok in there, just because people are always like, why would we get on this? And I'm like, do you know how much buying decisions are affected by children? So I always think that there's a huge opportunity on these platforms where if you're in a market where you're trying to attract pet owners who also are, can you say children owners? I don't know if that's okay. I'm not a parent, so pet owners.
Yeah, that's a good
I don't
one.
know. Well, we say pet parent. We say pet parent. Can you say children owner? So if you want to attract children owners to your veterinary practice, I think being on these kind of fun, innovative platforms is an opportunity to make the kids just obsessed with you enough to make the parents come on in and have that be a little sales funnel for you. So kind of an overview of missed opportunities. I could go on and on.
That's cool.
No, that's great.
So you mentioned a couple platforms. There's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's TikTok, there's Twitter. What are the most, in your opinion, what are the most effective platforms to generate interest in the community these days? Are there those that are retiring, just like maybe Google Plus?
Yeah.
And also, how do you measure the success? So if I was, me, an old vet, trying to do this and say, someone convinced me and said, we have to do it. And I said, okay, let's do it. I want to know in 3 months, what is the effect on my business? So how do people measure the success on these platforms?
Two really good questions. So in terms of where you should be spending time and what's the best place to kind of build a community, it comes down to the community that you really want to build, right? So if I am trying to build a following in a high-end suburban area, I'm trying to attract young families, like I'm obviously going to be on Instagram, right? Like it kind of depends on where you're trying to go with the clientele that you're trying to attract. So I think that's a super important first step. Like I think veterinary hospitals make the mistake of trying to provide care to everybody on earth. And that's where we find so much unhappiness is we're like, we'll take any client, right? I think really knowing who your client is, who you want to serve, and what you're going to be offering them in terms of an experience and in terms of an interaction is super critical to define first. And then it can kind of help guide you in terms of which platforms you're going to be on. If you want to have like a lot of personalized back and forth communication, Instagram really allows you to interact with other accounts way more easily. So, then that might be the right platform for you. I would say as a general comment, Facebook and Instagram are like an absolute must for vet clinics. And then there's other platforms that I would look at kind of depending on specific goals. If I was saying anything was like really dying, it breaks my heart because it really is where my business got its start in terms of networking. But Twitter, I see so really rare instances of Twitter making sense for a vet clinic, unless you're in a really like super tech savvy area. You're trying to attract probably more so male clients in that area. You're not gonna do so well in that. Yeah, Twitter has had its day unless you want to see what like the American president is up to. So
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, it's had its day, like unless you want to like see if America's like going to war today or something. I don't even know. Important announcements are over there apparently. But I digress. I'm really good at hiding my opinions. And so from there, in terms of measuring success, and being like, okay, like you said, okay, I'm a practice owner. I'm going to let you do this for 3 months. How am I going to know what success is? I think it comes back to defining what success means, right? So setting a goal right out the outset. On Snout School, we have all of these different marketing planners in our store that are set for different goals, right? So one of those planners has a goal of increasing heartworm compliance, right? So you need to define what that means to you, right? Which product are we trying to increase sales on, okay? And yes, I said sales. I know it terrifies everybody in VetMed, but which product are we trying to increase sales on? What is the percentage of, increase we'd like to see? And what time frame are we measuring that in, right? So I can come in and I'm going to say, I want to see a 20% increase on sentinel spectrum this month over last month, right? Or I want to see a 15% increase in heart failure this month over last month, whatever the heck product it is, have something specific. And then that way you're going to be able to put campaigns out, drive business in, and then use your practice management software to really track that success. That's usually how I look at things. I think it comes from my practice management background. There's other great ways to track success. If you have somebody like the Whisker Cloud team runs a lot of Google ads, and they can track more on the techie side of things, like, hey, you got X amount of calls, from these ads or from these posts. That's another way to track success. The practice manager in me likes to really just set nice little tangible goals in practice and then just track them in my practice management software.
So if you have, if you set up the goals of, let's say, increase certain compliance of certain preventative care, and then you would probably attack it from multi-channel sort of, you and your reminders, you have your website updated, you maybe send some email campaigns from social media. What is the technical way of parsing it out from the rest of them? And is there actually a way? Because I found that it's, it's hard to get through the noise. And then with general marketing, as it used to be, I love the fact, when people go to the conference, they go, we're going to give away pens. This is great. Or let's hire a plane and attach a big banner on the back of it and let it fly over the city. Amazing idea, but how do you measure if it worked or not? So is there actually a way to do it sort of precisely and say, hey, we did this here, and then therefore let's continue asking this 15-year-old posting on Instagram so we can get more of this?
It's interesting, right? And this is actually, I think, why I love social media versus a lot of traditional avenues, right? Like a lot of vet clinics used to do like yellow page ads or, newspaper ads. And it would be really hard to be like, okay, what did we get for that, right? I think that my favorite way to really track this is to have a set landing page. So a set website page that's really dedicated to one goal. So let's stick with heartworm, right? So say I am having a special offer on heartworm to drive compliance. Like something we did at my family's practice when I was managing is we said, if you buy 10 doses, you'll get 2 free, right? Because we wanted people to just get the whole year. And so we had a whole page about that on our website where they could redeem the offer. So now all of a sudden, if I am posting about cute little video of my dog dancing to take his heartworm treat, right? Like getting him to do some tricks and then he takes the treat, and then a little reminder on the post of, hey, like, do you need to refill your heartworm? When you buy 10, you get 2 free, claim your offer here, right? So then they're going to that website page. So you're really building out a sales funnel where it goes from the top, where you're getting attention with something cute like the dog dancing. You can't just go post a lot of offers on social media. That's not fun. Nobody's going to pay attention to that, right? You have to do the social media equivalent of hiring a plane to drive around and have a big banner about you, right? You have to get attention. So fun content, drive it to a landing page with an offer, and then you're able to track the opt-ins from that offer. And very quickly, you're going to be able to see, hey, we got X amount of people in claiming that offer from X amount of posts. This post got the most clicks. This post didn't do so hot. And we can kind of, refine the strategy from there.
It's really interesting because that simple landing page, which it's simple for all of us. I think a lot of people are like, what is a landing page? So,
yeah.
I think for our listeners, the landing page, it's a specific web page that you would build attached to that promotion and then have some tracking on it. But it does make sense because it's like the olden days when people would set up a specific phone number for people to call. They'd have that phone number in the ad and it would work, and you'd be able to track it and see the results of it. And the whole conversation is really interesting. I mean, social media, it definitely has been, I think, ever since it was created, a bit of a mystery for people. And I think a lot of people think, oh, I have social media, and their strategy has been set it and forget it. I think for me, Danielle, the biggest thing that you said that I think really resonated with me is pick a goal, measure the goal, and see what the results are, and then pick another goal and measure the results and see what the results are.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I think that's the fundamentals of kind of any marketing. But unfortunately, we're out of time. So I've got a couple questions for you that I'd like to wrap up with. One is a book. Maybe it's a social media book. Maybe it unlocks a mystery, but a book that you found really influential in your career so far.
So I say a lot of the same books over and over again, and I wanted to say a new one. So a new book that I've recently found is from the guy that does Planet Money over on NPR, Adam Davidson. The book is called Passion Economy, and it's really about why it's important to define who you want to serve and what you're going to provide to them as a service, and really getting really niche about your business. Because I think that that is a way, thinking more and more as we build out 7S Society to get more people into practice ownership. I really think getting super passionate about a specific type of niche business is going to be where independently owned veterinary practices can thrive. So Passion Economy, definitely a good read.
Awesome. And then the last one is anybody at all that you've come across in the veterinary space that you would consider an innovator that you think we should have on the podcast?
Okay, I'm a rule breaker, so I'm going to give you two.
Okay.
First and foremost, my dear friend Adam Greenbaum, he is the founder of Whisker Cloud. He found me because I was making landing pages myself for my website, and he was the first person in veterinary medicine to really understand that a website should be focused on these conversion goals, because he comes from ad agency background. So Adam at Whisker Cloud is just total genius with all things website. And the second one is Dr. Jessica Vogelsang. She's the founder of PawCurious.com, and she is just somebody that is really innovative in terms of storytelling in our space. We get so boring on tech and specs and like little minute details that nobody cares about, but we have such a beautiful story to tell. And so I think Dr. Jessica Vogelsang is somebody that can really add value to your listeners for sure.
Thank you so much for listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. If you want to hear about our new episodes, please follow us on any social media channel. Also, you can check out our website at veterinaryinnovationpodcast.com. See you next week.